Sex and violence at Mach speed just sounds like a kink. It just does.
I mean...
It does end
It just does!
Wow. I mean...
That's where your mind goes.
Yeah, where else is it supposed to go?
There is the Mile High Club. What is the equivalent of having sex, really fast?
Sex and violence in the sky?
I feel like this is the kink of the main character in Redline, probably.
JP just like popping the nitrous capsule, making the frame stretch.
What it does. That's what it does for me, baby.
Oh, God.
Yeah. God damn it.
I have no part of this conversation. I am removing myself from this conversation.
Redline's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Hello, one and all, and welcome back to the box, the AniChatBox, of course, where 5 friends snuggle up in a teeny tiny space to talk about all things anime. This is episode 108, and I am your host, Gregory.
Woo!
I have a woo squad. The person who wooed in the next room over is the producer extraordinaire, Cass.
I just get so excited when I hear about you, Craig, and everything you do. I'm so excited for you. And all that you do.
Is that a song reference? Are you making a song reference?
No, I'm really not.
Okay. The one that is silently judging Cass is Dom, right next to Cass, in fact.
Who said I'm silently judging?
You're always silently judging.
I mean, that's true. I will also not woo for you. I'm not part of this woo squad. She is a lone woo squatter.
I'll never be alone. Because I have everyone else here.
I just mean in wooing Craig.
It's true.
You're alone in that. Sucks to be you, Craig.
That's yet to be proven. Somebody else could woo. We have more people who haven't been introduced yet.
But they didn't woo with you when
They can woo with me now, wink wink.
Oh, the other one that just wooed over across the country and the oceans is the gentleman of the box, Jonathan Joestar.
Hello.
You fucking failed me, John.
I don't care. I was going to.
You weren't supposed to fucking woo.
I was going to declare myself a member of the
Cammy can do whatever the hell she wants.
That's true.
Yeah, I was about to say, and finally, on the East Coast, the precious cinnamon roll of the podcast, Cammy.
Awake, judgment, gun morphing.
Good morphing.
I missed you so much.
I missed you too. I'm so glad to be
It has been
back.
a hot minute.
Yep, school tried to kill me, but I'm still alive, thanks to the support and love of the people in this recording box.
And you turning yourself literally into a gun.
That too, yes, that helps a little bit.
How horrifying, but also cool. Okay, kids, today is a host choice, so that means there's no main topic, but it is my host choice, in fact. Today we are going to be talking about the Studio Trigger show, Space Patrol Luluco, otherwise known as Uchuu Patrol Luluco. Again, Studios Trigger. Other shows by them, Little Witch Academia and Kiznaiver. Fun fact about this real quick, Kiznaiver aired in the same spring season as Kiznaiver did, and Little Witch Academia was the next project that Trigger worked on after both of Kiznaiver and Luluco.
So Kiznaiver and Luluco are in the same...
Yeah, you said Kiznaiver.
You said Kiznaiver twice. I got very confused.
Sorry. No, they premiered in both of them on the same season.
I thought you were just trying to be otherworldly for a minute. Kiznaiver aired in the same season as Kiznaiver.
The synopsis for Space Patrol Luluco goes as such. Living an abnormal existence in Okikubo, an intergalactic melting pot of humans and aliens, as well as the only space immigration zone on Earth, Luluco is the bubbly middle school girl who just wants to be normal. One morning, however, her father, who works at the Space Patrol, eats a volatile sleep capsule by mistake and is frozen solid. To make matters worse, Luluco accidentally breaks him, so she hurries off to his office for help. There, the chief of Space Patrol, over justice, hires Luluco, but fires her, but then hires her, then imprisons her, as a space temp worker for undercover investigations, so that the institution may crack down on crime within her school. Made to don the Space Patrol suit and sent on her way to meet they just say the word meet here. I don't know what that means. METE. Meet out justice. Luluco attempts to maintain the image of a normal girl who does not stand out in any particular way, but she soon discovers that with the automatic systems and inherently zealous judiciousness of the Space Patrol suit, continuing to be normal will be more difficult than she ever imagined.
That was a very long synopsis for
really
a very
is.
short show.
Yeah.
It took up the length of half an episode, really, and probably my fumbles did not help with that, but hey,
Me, Craig, and Dominic watched this all together, like in an afternoon, including all of the openings and endings.
Yeah.
And it didn't take us longer than a couple of hours. It's a
Well,
short,
same.
it's nice.
I watched the entire thing start to finish in one sitting.
Yeah, it's really easy to do that.
Yeah. The first time I saw this show, I think it was last year with an old coworker of mine. She's just like, was coming to sleep over at my house and we got pizza. And then she's like, want to watch Luluco? It's like not long at all. And so we sat there and watched it. And it's really fun. It was kind of just like hanging out and watching a little movie.
I've watched this show now 3 times. I watched it, I think, one train ride on the way back home, and then I finished it up when I actually got home. And then I watched that dubbed on Funimation, and then I watched it subbed with Zach like a few months back. Then I watched it, as Cass said, with her and Dom in preparation for this, and yeah, it's just 13 episodes, 5 minutes a pop. You get in, you get out. It's like, 2 hours, if that. I remember watching Black Panther, like, immediately after that, so.
I think that shorts are criminally underutilized in the anime community. You hardly ever see people talking about them unless they make a huge splash.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the shorts that I've ever ended up watching, like, I can't understand what my husband is saying, or later I plan on watching Bookseller Honda-san. I only knew they existed really because friends recommended them to me. So I think it's kind of neat that we're getting to, I don't think we get to do it very often, review a short on this show. So
Yeah.
I know we have a few on our docket as is, but it's just very interesting to think about what we can talk about in regards to the story, which I do have one really good thing to say about the story. What little there is of one. I do think that they do a very good job of masking it because it turns into kind of a coming of age story at the very end, but it doesn't seem rushed at all. And I thought that was a nice touch. Another thing, if you listen back to our Space something Nadesco, I can't remember all of Martian Nadesco.
Martian Successor Nadesco.
There we go. If you listen to that review, I made a comment about saying that it's a love letter to people who are robot fans and it's written in a language I don't understand. Yeah. I think that Space Patrol Luluco is a love letter to Trigger, and you need to have no prior knowledge. It's good to know if you do. Like, it's good to have the prior knowledge, but I feel like it's a love letter that's written in a language that's dumb enough for everyone to understand.
Yep.
And I think that there isn't an entry-level requirement, which makes it really accessible, especially for a comedy that's extremely referential.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I thought I'd start, since there isn't really much to pick apart about the story.
As you said, it is a coming-of-age story. It is about a girl who wants to live a normal life. The synopsis did not mention she meets a mysterious transfer student named Alpha Omega Nova, and how she essentially gets infatuated with him. It's a romance story. It's a romance story while being so over the top and so Gynax and trigger heavy with references literally, and as the story goes on, they blatantly reference properties in one way or the other. But at the core of it, it is a romance in the way I see it, and it was cute.
And a comedy. And a lot of it's comedy. Of course, comedy is subjective, but I think that the comedy in this really is very quick-witted humor, and I thought that was nice. It wasn't like gross or too slapsticky for my taste, but it still had just enough slapstick with perfect, beautiful comedic timing that I found myself rolling a couple of times at least.
You know, now that I think about it, I definitely see it as like a coming-of-age story. I see it as the big, hey, this is adolescence. What can we use for metaphors to describe adolescence? And I don't feel like there are a ton of adolescent stories in anime that are full-blown, like, comedy as much as this one is. So that's actually pretty refreshing, to see it executed that way. It still has, like, some nice little heartfelt moments. There was, like, a line that Luluco said at some point that I was like, whoa, that's actually, like, really deep. I love that. That's really cool. But it was a refreshing way to take something that is talked about all the time in anime as adolescence, but deliver it in a medium that it's not normally delivered in.
Oh, you're young and your body is going to change in a way that you're not used to? That's hilarious!
Yeah.
The gun is a metaphor.
Judgment gun morphing!
Morphing!
I love that her crush is like a Big Bang. That's one of my favorites, where she's just like, ah! She's like, this boy was my Big Bang. It was cute.
What a way to phrase it. I also really liked how the quote-unquote romance is wrapped up and develops, because it seems very surface level.
Yeah.
And through most of the show it is, but then at the end they give you this nice little cherry that you weren't expecting, but it's put on top of this really, pretty nice, okay sundae, but then you're like, this just makes it all so much nicer. I like it. I like that right there.
I am going to straight up steal something that Zach has done and save our progress. Sorry, Zach. But I thought a fun question that we could talk about, even though I think that we're all going to have a very similar answer, is do you feel like this would have, do you think it should have been like 30-minute episodes? Or do you think that it functions well as a short?
It functions best as a short.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
Its delivery, its punchlines, the way it's acted, the over the top. I think, like, conservatively, like budget wise, I think that Trigger had the most. I feel as though if they actually had full 30-minute episodes, I don't know if it would have been as crazy fluid as it was. And by fluid, I mean really crazy at points, but then stiff as a board intentionally at others. Hey, Over Justice, how's it going? You're the greatest character ever, despite being clip art.
I mean, I don't know. I think that it being a Trigger show, it would have looked fine as 30.
Yeah.
I don't think that the production would be what I'm worried about with Studio Trigger at making this a 30-minute episode series. I think my issue would be with the comedy, and the episode length makes it perfectly fit into the succinct little story that you can get through in 2 hours.
Yeah, it would be a wildly different show if it wasn't a short. I think it's specifically planned with that format in mind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I've seen plenty of bombastic Trigger / Gynex shows that are too core, and they still look really nice and have like flashy fight scenes, so I don't think that would be my issue. I think it would be with the story would have to be completely revamped into something else, or if they tried to go with the same model, it would be a slog.
Yeah, I actually, now you have me thinking back to Little Witch Academia, and I know for you and I, Cassie, there was a point where it felt like they were just kind of like pulling stuff for the sake of filling time, and it was very much like a slog to get through. And one thing that is really strong about Luluco is the fact that it doesn't have any of that. That the story is just well and succinctly told, like you said.
Yeah, it just comes in, it does what it needs to do, and it leaves, and then you're like, oh, damn. That wasn't very long at all. I think that the only problem I had, a lot of the worlds, for example, they go at one point to a world that I'm not entirely sure what it was about. It was like yarn or something, and then they go to the Little Witch Academia world, and they go to like a bunch of different places. I think that the only one that I literally knew nothing about and that caused me a problem was the like yellowish violent world they went to. I felt like
sex and violence.
Yeah,
sex and violence with Mach speed.
I don't know anything about sex and violence. Well, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. I don't know anything about that show, and I felt completely lost, and the comedy just did not hit, and I spent most of that episode just blankly staring at the television.
It was a, if memory serves, it was, the same animation, like, award thing, like, self-promoter animation thing that Me came from.
Yeah.
That was Trigger's contribution to that.
I mean, that's pretty neat. And maybe, like, on its own, maybe I would like it, who knows. I didn't even have a problem with the aesthetic. I was fine with that. I did not follow what... It just wasn't funny, and I wasn't following really what I was supposed to be following, I feel like. That was the only low in the story for me.
It was the most jarring of episodes. Like, it didn't really have a proper, like, lead-in. It would just started abruptly, and then it ended, and you're like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. And it tried to do something in just having, like, Luluco by herself in this world and then, like, trying to have a conversation that would lead to resolve, but it didn't land in that episode as to a different episode closer to the end where it's just Luluco by herself and then she talks to someone and gets resolved, which was well done. So, I do agree.
Which I know nothing about that world, but I was fine with it. Because it was just such good dialogue, and that's how it is in the Little Witch Academia world, too. I think somebody who knows nothing about Little Witch Academia would be able to laugh and keep up with that, too. Mm-hmm. So, it's like, most of the worlds, I feel like you don't even need to know. But if you do, it's even funnier.
Yeah.
But...
Don't lose your way.
Your way in your mind. God damn it. Kill.
I think I did see the one-off that the Yellow World is based on. That I've just completely blanked on the name of now. All of
Sex and Violence with Mach Speed.
Mach Speed, yeah. I think I did see that short, and they pretty much did the exact same skit as the short in that episode, just with Luluco added into the scene.
Sex and violence at Mach Speed just sounds like a kink. It just does.
I mean...
It does end
It just does!
Wow. I mean...
That's where your mind goes.
Yeah, where else is it supposed to go?
There is the Mile High Club. What is the equivalent of having sex, really fast?
Sex and violence in the sky?
I feel like this is the kink of the main character in Redline, probably.
JP just like popping the nitrous capsule, making the frame stretch.
That's what it does for me, baby.
Oh god.
Yeah. God damn it.
I have no part of this conversation. I am removing myself from this conversation.
Redline's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Cammy, have you seen Redline?
I've not. I still need to. I've just seen enough stuff about it, you know?
Yeah. I need to watch it at some point, too. But, John, maybe you make a good point. Maybe the barrier to entry to making that episode funny is just knowing it's the whole show in that they didn't change anything and it was just Luluco there. Maybe that's the punchline and we just didn't get it. I don't know.
Probably is just that probably is the punchline of it. Is like, oh, you've seen this before. Here's the exact same thing again, but with another character added in.
Maybe
That's
they
a little
even
frustrating though.
It is. I was gonna say, like, maybe they decided to be kind of uncreative that way because they were like, well, the original short probably doesn't have enough exposure as compared to, like, obviously Kill la Kill and Little Witch, so we can just show the regular thing since maybe not enough people have seen it. But
it doesn't have enough meat on its bones to actually flesh out a whole episode length of a segment.
Yeah, it clearly didn't work. That's the
Yeah, and it's like the only episode that has a barrier to entry, and that's kind of
Yeah.
frustrating because the rest of the show doesn't need one.
Yeah.
It also didn't immediately click with me that was the case. I sort of sat there for a moment afterwards. I'm sure I've seen that before, and then I remembered, yes, I have seen that before.
To be fair, the episodes are so short that even if that does have this one odd episode, it's over before you really know it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah.
that's true.
So it's not a low point that drags forever, and that's a good point. It's just, I guess it's the only part of the show for me that I felt was not as strong as comedically and story-wise than the rest of the show.
Do we have anything else to say about the story before we move on to the characters?
Not for
nothing.
me.
No.
Dom, who's your favorite character? Tell me.
Over justice.
Justice!
I don't have to say anything else. That's his name.
He literally turns into a giant magnum and just shoots a giant, purple plasma beam, and then, without context, he gets pushed around on a cart as just a floating head. I loved it.
He is definitely one of the sources of the comedic delivery in some scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And he is almost consistently always over the top. So that definitely seems like something that would gel with you, honey.
He is the funniest part of the show, yeah.
Dom, didn't you say that he's also voiced by the same guy that also is like the mech with purple flames in Gridman? Alexis Kruger or whatever his name
yes,
was?
he is. Yeah, they're basically. I think that's a running joke. Yeah, they're the same.
Yeah.
Thing basically.
I'm looking at this GIF that Cassie posted in our chat, and I'm realizing something. So, in the opening, I always noticed, he stuck those two fingers up, and at first I was always like, is he flipping off the camera? He's not. He's got the two fingers. But he has the same two fingers in this clip, and now I want to go back and see if literally he is eternally finger gunning. That's just how his hand is.
Yeah,
I believe he is.
Even when he's
That's
just a pile
amazing.
of bones in one episode, he's still got that one hand in
He's
that
still
one pose, sat right
doing
in
the
front of
finger
his
gun.
face.
That's amazing. That's the those fun little details that are worth noticing.
It's really good. Kemi, who's your favorite character?
I don't know. They all kind of just, no one in particular really stuck out to me. They all just kind of do the good things that make the show good. They're there, they serve their purpose and whatnot. I was thinking of Luluco, but I also was like, we need more icon things. So I just put Nova down. They do a really good job of, and I want to talk more about this in spoilers because I actually really like what they did with his character. But they do a good job of making you. Okay, they made me fall in love with him, and they made probably other people understand why Luluco was in love with him, basically. He's beautiful, and he's got that gentle voice, and I wanna, there is more that I have to say, but I can't really say it without spoilers, so, yeah. But he was fun. Yeah, stay tuned. Suzuku!
Cass?
I really liked Luluco. I thought she was fun. I thought that her plight to be normal and always failing was hilarious. I thought it was a really fun setup to a show, too, because normally you have, characters that just want to be extraordinary or break the mold. And to have a character that just, for the love of God, just wanted to be normal in this world that she couldn't be normal in was something that immediately kind of drew me in. And then I realized that she fell in love with somebody for very superficial reasons, and I was like, I've done that before!
Yes.
And I realized I've done that a lot of times. And the outcome is never good. It'd be really cool if they explored that, and boy, do they. So, a lot of the things I have to say that I love about Luluco's character, I would also probably explore more in spoilers, but I think that she, as a heroine for the show, does a really good job of riding the line of being a very ditzy girl, but doing it to the point it's not annoying, and that's really hard to do. So I commend her for that. I could see people, if she was a little bit more high-strung, being unlikable. But they ride that line really cool and easily with her character.
I love, actually, one thing about her is, like, how... I'll say it this way, and I'll expand on it. I kind of really like how horny she is.
Yeah,
And,
she's
like,
extremely horny.
and
She
she's
is so...
I mean,
thirst.
her like the gun is literally the metaphor for like her like falling in love, and it could be derived as more than that.
Well, and she just, like, she has, you hear in so many of her inner monologues, like, this agenda she has. Like, you know, she's not, like, completely, oh, I love Nova, but I'm gonna be shy. She's like, wait. We can't be here in this place where there's all these other girls. I have to get him away from there. Like, I loved that sort of, like, methodical thinking and, like, her kind of selfish need to stick to her agenda. I thought that was a very, like, humanizing and fun quality for her to have.
And
Sure.
while we don't have Midori listed in our icons, she also provides the extra factor for Luluco's like neurotic behavior, trying to essentially keep Alpha Omega all to herself, essentially by like saying, "Oh God, if I don't keep him to myself, then Midori will get to him because
Yeah, I really liked Midori's character design, and I kind of liked that she sounded like a swamp monster. Like, it was just, it was a fun portrayal.
I also love her turn of character and how very nonchalant it is. She's fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I like her voice actress
Mm.
and the fact that she's been in a lot of Gainax properties. Fully coolly, what's up?
Wait, no, is she?
Yes, she's Haruka.
Oh my god! Nice.
She pops up a lot.
When you hear her like nasally tone, you can't unhear it. She's also in Gridman. She's the mom.
She's also in Kill la Kill.
Yep, she's Jakuzure in that. Like if you watch Gridman, the mom has like a little accessory on her headband, and it's the eyeball that Midori has.
Mm.
Or is it earrings? Either one. But for my character that I've chosen, I can't really expound upon it too much. He is Inferno Cop, much akin to Overjustice. He is clip art, utilized with pizza fire particle effects. Like Studio Trigger really embrace the fact that some of their properties are just like, you know what? We don't need a huge budget in order to tell like a funny bit, and yeah, my character Inferno Cop is literally Ghost Rider, just as a cop. He's always pointing in one direction, and he talks, and don't mistake his age. He is in fact 20 years old. But he is utilized in a pivotal moment for Luluco and gives her a like retrospective on a qualm or a hurdle that she has to overcome. So
I think I have a new crossover ship, and it is Inferno Cop and Honda-san.
oh God,
I mean, they're both skeletons. They're both very exaggerated.
that's awesome.
I mean, the fucking Honda-san gets unconfident and worried. Inferno Cop's just like, fuck everything besides yourself. Love yourself. It'd be great.
I need that to happen. What about John's favorite character?
Yeah, John.
So I've got my icon set to Ladako, who is Luluco's mother. She shows up a few times in the series. She's a pirate.
Do you like pirates?
She's voiced by Keir Black.
She is.
I love the dynamic between Luluco's parents, with one effectively being a criminal and one being
the cop.
the cop. Yeah,
I'll get you, honey, one day.
It was so cute, like so weirdly cute.
Yeah.
And just like this stuff in the last episode that really sold, like last couple of episodes that really sold me on her. Really, I really liked her design, even if it was a bit.
Listen, she's sexy and she's an adult. If she wants to be that way, I'm all for it.
True, fair enough. Her design is very Kill Kill-esque. Let's put it that
It's
way.
very Kill la Kill because it has the red threads, life fibers, but like okay, maybe there's just me, like, not looking at it enough, but, like, is she actually naked, or is that just, like, white clothing?
No, she's not naked. She just has very, like, string-thin clothing.
Yeah, okay.
Like, her tatas are 2 seconds from popping out and saying hello. But
Okay, so she's wearing a bikini, then, for all intents and purposes.
kind of, but it's just, like, I don't know. I feel like with her, it's all about empowerment. And and it's not like all of the girls in the show, including the fucking teenagers, are made to be over-sexualized. Like, she's a grown woman, a much older woman, who is a badass, and if she wants to flaunt her body, then Godspeed to her.
Her last name is Godspeed, so good on you there.
Nailed it.
I didn't do that on purpose.
I also just love that in contrast to, like, how little clothing she wears. She just has a giant fucking red pirate hat. It's a good contrast.
And also, she also does a gun morphing, but it's not just this gun morphing, it's Godspeed gun morphing.
Do we have anything further to say on the characters before we move into that production? Do we want to shout out any special cameos? Do we have any characters that didn't resonate with us, or?
I like Secretary.
She didn't have any lines, but she was...
I didn't catch her name.
She always put the title card up. I mean, thank goodness for that.
I also like that her gun form was just holding a tiny over justice.
Oh, right.
So you got a giant over justice gun in the background and just her with like a handheld size version of him.
I think before we move on, the only thing I want to say about characters is that I think that they were all very lively and different and strange, that I never felt bored. Which is good, because it's a very short show. I shouldn't be feeling bored. That means it has a problem. But I think that they really are what make the show worth watching.
Yeah.
Are the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I will also go on to say about that is, like if the cameo or references go over your head, maybe that will serve as a curiosity. Maybe it'll pique your interest, because, like, shoutouts to Susie in the Little Witch Academia episode, where she literally is herself. And for those who haven't watched any Little Witch Academia, hopefully, if you're able to, like, watch this show and you're like, oh, what is this Kill la Kill? What is this Little Witch Academia? What is this Inferno Cop? Well, they're all readily available for you to watch. And good on the show for trying to pique interest, I suppose. And with that being said, let us move on to production. Where do we begin?
The art style looks like panty stocking.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, more refined panty stocking, basically.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's cartoony, which is good for a slapstick comedy short. It's very cartoonish.
Everyone except for Over Justice and, like, there are the other series direct cameos, I guess.
Even that, they are represented as very cartoonish, so
yeah,
they fit in just fine. And the art style wildly changes with every world they go to, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think for me, the main thing that I really enjoyed on this second watch, that probably was my favorite production aspect of the show, was the voice acting performances and how they handled sound and messed with it, because I thought that it really aided to a lot of the comedy. Yeah, we mentioned before, a lot of us like to say, like, judgment, gun morphing, fight for justice, and stuff like that. I loved the little details of how they would overlap sound. Like, when someone was shooting a gun over and over and over, they'd be having dialogue, and in the background you just hear, fight for justice! Like, it was just, I love those little bits so much, and it, like, really made a lot of the comedy land for me. I think it's fair to say that it perfectly syncs in tandem with the animation, but I think I'm just very spoiled to pretty animation. So I noticed the audio sticking out a lot, but that was probably my favorite part of production.
For sure. And all of them did such a really good job of portraying all of their characters, even down to the ones who don't talk very much, like main boy whose name I forgot.
Alpha Omega.
Yeah. He doesn't talk very much, but his delivery is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I have some fun production stats for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the show is directed and written by Hiroyuki Imaishi. Obviously, did Gurren Lagann, Penny and Stocking, Kill la Kill. And the music was composed by Kenichiro Suihiro. Did the music for ReZero, Cells at Work. Again, an original property. Going back to the way this stuff sounds and the acting, whatnot, I want to give kudos to the ending song, People Password, performed by Teddy Lloyd, featuring Bonjour Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it did that bit, which we all really like, the get hype moment, where the ending kind of bled into what was actually on screen before cutting to the credits. And Cass really loves that artist because they whisper the ASMR.
Yeah, it's the Yurikuma.
I was actually going to, when I got a chance, mention that, but Craig stole it from me. But yeah, they're the same.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just joking around. But it's the same people who did the Yurikuma Arashi opening, and that is one of my favorite openings. And I just love it, and how much it just makes me fill with joy and happiness. I just love their sultry singing voices. It's just
ASMR.
It's very soft, but very, like, I don't know, I feel like they're softly coercing me some way or somehow, and I love it. And I think that's the point of both the ED and also the opening of Yurikuma Arashi and the ED here, because it's showing her her desires for somebody in the ED, and it's also awkwardly foreshadowy. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, I thought it was just an artistic choice, but there you go. You get a little bit of a spoiler of what's to come in the ED if you look close enough. Little FF fun fact.
It's the ending is kind of diametrically opposed to the opening, where the opening is literally just, as Cammy pointed out earlier, the secretary just pulls up the cue card and it's just lots of quick shots of the characters, and the song is just yelling, and people are just rambling in the recording booth the entire time. You don't know what they're saying. I don't think the thing is even subbed half the time, but you're like, okay, cool.
One thing I really liked is in one of the openings, they removed Luluco's character.
Yes.
And I thought that was a hilarious touch. I won't say why or when it happens, but it killed me. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Did anyone else like how the ending was, like, designed and shot? Because I actually really liked the whole, there's a lot of cool photo and, like, cutout work and stuff. And it's just really neat, especially for, like, Cassie and I, I'm sure, as just people that are into video editing. It was a treat.
It is. It's a very nice treat.
I think they're, like, they're paper cutouts, and the photos that are being shot are, like, real life locations or whatever? Kind of like what Sarazumai does.
For the opening, it's a... Craig, you described it very well. I do have to say, that was another time, though, where every time it started playing, I had to go... It
was fun. It was hyper and high-pitched and getting you ready to go into an episode, and that's the mood you needed to be in most of the time, so...
Yeah, very true.
There was a couple of background songs background tracks that caught my attention as well.
Nice.
I really like the music in general about this, and just sort of follow up on what Cassie said. Yeah, the opening seems to, like, build you up, and then the ending seems to, like, help you wind down a little bit. Although if you're watching it, like, back to back to back, you've got that, like, calm down, build you up, calm down, build you up, calm down kind of thing, but still, it was still very fun to watch back to back to back.
Oh, one thing I found funny is how they decided to, like, divide it into seasons. And so by, like, the end of the show, you're at, like, season 4 or something.
Yeah.
Each season actually ended off on, like, a sort of cliffhanger, and I think Cass at one point was like, how many episodes is this?
I was very confused, because I was like, I don't feel like we've watched that much, but it's saying we're on, like, season 4. I'm so confused.
Season 2 or season 3? What, Craig, how many episodes is this show?
I was so lost.
Yeah, I don't know like what their purpose in it was. My only guess is because they were trying to really nail into the like space opera epic sort of like aesthetic and style. But
Or just
it
fucking
was
confuse people.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
Porque no los dos. Yeah, it was really funny, and it's understandable to be confused by that.
I have 2 more notes about production here. Further emphasizing the reference hell that this show is, like, Little Witch Academia World has the Little Witch Academia music in it. Kill la Kill has Don't Lose Your Way. It actually has the aesthetic and the feel of every world. And both dub and sub are fantastic. I watched this first in sub and, was actually pleasantly surprised to find that Alpha Omega was voiced by Justin Briner, who voices Deku from My Hero Academia.
Oh, neat.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it in Japanese, like I watch all my stuff, because I'm a filthy weeb.
Yeah, I don't know if the dub was out when I first watched it either.
I think this is one of those shows I wouldn't mind go back and rewatching in a dub, though, because it's just so short, and I also find comedy dubs I tend to like a whole lot.
I think it's one of those shows that serves well with a dub, too. Kind of like how I really wish Tatami Galaxy had a dub. Like, in the same vein, Luluco works really well for a dub just because of how wonky it is and how many things are happening at once. So
How fast it is, too.
Yeah, so it's easy to immerse yourself in a dub if you're not usually, like, the sub crowd.
Okay, do we have any final thoughts, nitpicks, qualms with the show before we roll right into ratings? We're going a little fast with this one, but
and that's fine. Luluco wants us to go fast. Fast and hard.
So does that dude from Redline, apparently.
Sex and violence at Mach speed.
Yeah.
JP's kink, ladies and gentlemen. So, okay, I guess with that being said, I pass this show. Cammy, you're going to give the recommendation, because you suggested one.
Oh, okay.
Let's go with Cass first for her rating of the show.
Oh no, I wasn't ready. But anyway, this show was really fun. I literally had no expectations going into it because I didn't know anything about it except for Craig had a couple of prints on his wall of it, and I was like, oh well, Craig must really like this. And then he went and bought it on Blu-ray, and I was like, wow, Craig must really like this. And that was literally all I had going in was, this is a show that Craig really likes, I hope I don't hate it. And I didn't. It was it was pretty fun. I had a really fun afternoon just chilling in our living room at our old house. It'll be one of the last memories I have of living over there in that apartment, is us sitting around that afternoon watching Luluco and just chilling and having a good time. And that's what the show is. It's a good time, and it just, there's not much else for me to say about it. If this kind of stuff appeals to you, I definitely recommend it 150%. If you need something to wash off all the drama you've been watching recently and you just want a really quick comedy that might get you a couple of gut punches in regards to laughing, then I recommend it. I can't talk today. Recommend it wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. And that's all I got. I liked the show a whole lot. I'm going to give it a like it. It's something I'll probably go back and watch eventually. And I'm super biased to the ED, and I got to listen to it several times that day, so I think it just lulled me into a false sense of I fucking love this show, but I'm gonna give it a like it. I enjoyed my time. I'd probably go back again, and I'd probably recommend this to people, especially people who are fans of Trigger or comedy. Or coming-of-age stories, weirdly enough.
Right on. Dom, you're next.
I give this a check it.
Yeah.
I think unlike everyone here, I'm honestly like maybe the least into Trigger's output. And this show is pretty Trigger.
It's so very Trigger.
So some things will hit for me and some things won't, and I think that's generally my view on the show, is that depending on how much you're into Trigger's brand of content will, shape how you react to this show, because it is kind of like a celebration of what they're all about in a lot of ways, and that's why there's like all the cameos with the different worlds and stuff like that. So, if you're into that sort of thing, definitely give it a watch. If you're not, maybe do something else. I mean, it's a short enough show that it's probably not that bad of a time investment, but I still don't think it's particularly for everyone.
Yeah, that's understandable. All right, John?
One of my first thoughts when I was watching this show, after just a couple of episodes in, was Trigger knows how to do just dumb fun, and that's what this was for the most part, and I really enjoyed it from start to finish in the end. I don't have many notes on this, but I don't think I really needed to then, to be honest. Again, I went into this completely blind, other than, like, it's been on my radar for a while, because I actually have a keychain of the Flutter Crystal somewhere in my room that I got from Loot Anime, like my second or third Loot Anime box that I subscribed to. And I'd been meaning to watch it ever since then, but never got around to it. So when it came up, when Craig put it up for his host choice, I was like, yay, finally a reason for me to actually find this thing and watch it. And yeah, it was all on Crunchyroll, so that was good. But yeah, I had so much fun watching this, and I probably will rewatch it at some point as well. If you enjoy Trigger at all, go watch this. It's very Trigger, and again, they know how to make just dumb fun. So I think I'm gonna have to give it a love it, because I just had that much fun with this series.
That is high praise. Damn. Good for you, John.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just kind of echoing a lot of things that other people have said. Definitely kind of similarly to Cassie, I went into this being like, okay, I'm just here to kind of witness whatever this has to offer, and I walked out of it pleasantly surprised. In just that it was a very, like, short, fun, kind of popcorn enjoyable show. And I definitely appreciate it for that. Something that I did realize this time when I was rewatching it is that I actually haven't fully watched a ton of Trigger shows. I've seen offhanded episodes of a lot of other Trigger series, but Luluco might even be the only Trigger show that I've seen all the way through. And I haven't, obviously given it, like, quite enough time yet, but I think I'm kind of in the same realm as Dom, which is for me that my reactions to their stuff can kind of be a mixed bag. Like, some of it I will think is really funny, but then some of it I'm just kind of, like, ambivalent to. I'm just like, this is here, this is happening. And so this one was definitely, like, really enjoyable. It's not a show for me that I see it's not something that I would come back to a lot, and that's probably due to a couple things. The fact that it is so short and it just kind of does what it does and then it leaves. But then also I'm not always in the mood for the crazy super shouting and, like, all the slapstick all the time. So it's kind of a piece that I have to be in the right mood and the right place for. It's kind of like pizza. I can't eat pizza every day, but sometimes it's super tasty and salty and good.
Why do you hate me?
Thank you.
I could eat pizza every day, so...
Thank you, John.
Well, I mean, you and John can eat pizza every day. Me and Cammy can enjoy other things in life.
Some days I just want pasta. Like, it depends.
Listen, it's some days I want pasta too, but if I had the opportunity to eat pizza every day and not die in a week, then I'd do it.
And I love and respect you for that. I'm just saying it's not my lifestyle choice.
I'm an artist misunderstood in my time.
I don't know about artists.
Yeah.
That's not the word I would use.
Either way. Kind of, again, just with Cassie, I give it a like it. I enjoy the show. It's not anything that, like, to me is particularly outstanding, but it also doesn't really do anything that's egregiously bad. It's just kind of there and it's good. So it's definitely something that, like, if people told me, hey, should I watch Luluco? I'd be like, yeah, it's worth your time. It's definitely worth checking out. And for a recommendation, We came up with Skullface bookseller Honda-san for a couple of reasons. It also relies a lot on like really good, funny comedic timing that's also associated with the voice acting and voice performances. Some of the animation, like the very blocky, like still animation, is very similar in Honda-san to Luluco, which is interesting to note. And there are skeletons in both shows, so I do also think if you like one, it's probably pretty likely you'd enjoy the other, even though the contexts are vastly different.
They're both shorts too, so they don't require much of a commitment.
Yes, thank you for reminding me of that. Yes, they're also shorts, and you can probably watch both in an afternoon when you're just chilling. So there you go.
My rating, again, what can be said about this that already has not been said? The show is fun. Again, I watched it on a whim, much like everyone here, or rather at this point, where like, hey, we knew what it was, but didn't watch it until for various reasons. I give the show a like it. It's fun. I feel as though for the time investment, you're in and out within a few hours, and whether or not you want to go back to the show depends on how, again, as Dom says, how heavily you are into Trigger, or if you like coming of age story, or if it appeals to your sensibilities. In my case, it appealed to the sensibility of the over-the-top bombastic nature of it all. I liked watching it in both languages and seeing the deliveries on both, and that's why I've watched it several times over. And yes, if I didn't say I liked it, I mean, as Cass said, I own the DVDs. I have a print of Luluco on my wall back there, and I'm like, hey, aces. Neato burrito. With that being said, we are going to go into a short spoiler room, because I know Cass said she had some thoughts and feelings. So for those who don't want to stick around for that, thank you all for listening. Again, this has been episode 108 of the AniChatBox. If you would like, you can hit us up on social media, twitter.com/AniChatBox for short form. We post updates every Tuesday and Friday for early access, as well as the public RSS feeds for that, and as well as posting any announcements for specials like Patreon exclusives. If you want to get in touch with us in long form, hit us up at AniChatMail@gmail.com. Again, that is AniChatMail@gmail.com. You can suggest a lifeboat show. You can suggest topics that we could add to the docket. Those are always appreciated. If you're listening to us, you can find us on multiple podcast services around the globe, such as iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud, as well as YouTube. And finally, if you find it within your heart of hearts to donate to us, hit us up on Patreon. Patreon.com/AniChatBox. Again, that is Patreon.com/AniChatBox. Peruse the tiers, see what catches your fancy. We recently reconfigured the tiers. Again, for some of the special episodes, we've lowered the price of that, so it's a little bit more enticing for those who wish to get in on more audio listening pleasures of our docile tones. Shout outs to our patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul. Without your generous donations, they keep the mics on, the lights on, and they funnel into production equipment, as well as our yearly SoundCloud subscription for everyone at home to listen to. And if you haven't heard or had enough of me, then well, you're out of luck, because I'm going to plug Saber Progress here. Twitter.com/SaberProgress and SoundCloud.com/SaberProgress. Yo, last time in that feed, me and Pete talked about the video game Devil May Cry and the post-game spoiler cast. We deep dove and dissected that game for a little bit longer than I anticipated, honestly. 2 hours of talking about how it's anime as fuck and really ridiculous. So There you go. With that being said, we are going to go into the spoiler room. So, Cass, what do you have for us?
One of the things that I really liked is that I was sitting there and I was like, oh, this girl is thirsting over this boy, that she has no real recollection of why she loves him in the first place. It's all very surface level. And He's comes hot. Down to, wow, he never really liked me in the first place, but he never really lied to me either about having no interest. Wow, this is breaking my heart. Wow, I'm in middle school all over again. I hate this show. It's just, it's very true to form, and even the fact that it ends up being that like actual form of that love is a completely useless piece of heart metal, basically, that can be shattered very easily. Like it's just a very big metaphor to adolescence.
There's nothing more worthless than a 15-year-old's crush.
Yeah, and it's just like, that hurt really bad, but it also is really true. When you're young and you're in love, you're really stupid. And that's something about me that has never changed, really. Luckily, I just found somebody finally who wasn't taking advantage of that. But, you know, it is what it is, and it was a very interesting way of portraying it, and that's what I think really boosted Luluco up to a like it. I think if it had just stayed a slapstick comedy in the way that it was, I probably would have leaned more towards a check it, but how real and in-depth it explored adolescence at the end really just kind of fucked me up a little bit.
I liked not only that just real introspective kind of like, oh, by the way, yeah, this girl or the boy that she's finding over like didn't lie to her, and then he kind of comes to his senses because essentially he's working for the enemy, which is called the Black Holian, voiced by Nobuyuki Hiyama, and that the entire fight kind of turns into something akin to Gurren Lagann, and I'm like, well, this is pretty hype.
Yeah, I definitely, that whole thing about just like the everything. Yeah, it's like a generated on purpose plotted first love. I just really love how Nova literally, even just in being like the nothingling or whatever he comes from, is just fully utilized as an avatar for like the very surface level first love sort of thing. Like, he is ambivalent, he's just completely milquetoast, like even written down to his DNA. And I was just like, that's a very fun way to like poke fun at like especially like shoujo love tropes. I just like that they really like decided to go super meta with him. It was funny.
It was funny, and I also like how it changed to this other kind of love at the end, even though it was super cheesy. I liked it. I liked that her naivety and her overcoming that naivety like led to him being more of a person. And how people influence each other to change who we are deep down, even if it comes at the expense of us learning who we are as a person too. And I'm like, that's freakishly deep for a fucking stupid comedy show. I like it. And I like how they have their stupid love attack at the end and how he sacrifices himself and she spends who knows how long searching for him afterwards. I'm like, this is checking all my stupid boxes that I love.
I also like that the gun, like, fight for justice changed to fight for Nova-kun.
That was cute.
Episode as well at that point.
It was cute.
I also got to give shout-outs to Inferno Cop for essentially being like telling Luluco what's up. And
justice never dies.
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, outside of just like it's quick, and like if you stay tuned past the credits, there's a baton pass, which is kind of prevalent in Tokusatsu and the Precure franchise, where it has the lead for one show go do a high five or like a toss motion to the pro tag of the next one, and it signified, yo, this show came out in spring 2016, and in winter 2017 Little Witch Academia aired. So
yeah, that baton pass was very like heartwarming. When I watched it with my friend, I was like, oh, look at that, and she's like, yeah, isn't that cute? To go back to Cassie's point real quick, just about how like nicely impactful everything was and how it was composed in the ending episode, I also really did like the fact that even though, again, like Nova's sacrifice is something that you see plenty of times in anime and is like almost like a romance trope, but at the same time it also sends a nice message because of that whole idea that first loves are like fleeting, you know? They're not the ones that last. They just kind of appear and impact you, and then they're gone. And so it was nice that they played into that with how he disappeared, and then, again, her goal of, like, searching for him again. It was good.
I like the fact that the mom accepts it, and the dad is so, like, protective of his daughter.
She's only 15 years old. Yes, she is already 15 years old.
At that point, he's just like, what? No! While she's essentially doing the Gynex pose into, like, the space station with a giant, like, space pirate ship. And I'm like,
he
oh my god.
becomes supportive afterwards, though.
Oh yeah, for sure he does. I just found it cute.
Yeah.
In that sort of reluctant fatherly way.
I also really like the way that Luluco, we got the fleshing out that, yes, she does care about her daughter, and, like, you know, the ways that she ended up supporting her in the end were really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would have been really easy to just make her detestable the whole time, but they did a nice job of making her human.
I guess we really didn't touch on the fact that the whole point of the reference fest is because Luluco, like, took the city and then auctioned it off.
Right.
And that's the reason why they...
Okikubo.
And that was the point where they were just trying to find it, and that's why they went to all the different reference worlds, and then they found it essentially being, if I recall correctly, being auctioned off, and they went to Space Patrol headquarters.
Which was made of many Okikubos.
Yep, essentially.
Could you guys imagine if they tried to do a fucking Okikubo world for Kiznaifer? They just, like...
Oh my god.
They go in at that scene where everybody's in the raid, and then Luluco's just
Everyone's feeling pain.
Yeah, Luluco's just there. Like, what's going on?
It's... Luluco just has a shock face at that point.
Yeah.
Just like, I will now leave. Bye.
They could. No, you know what? I would have maybe enjoyed that more than the yellow and black world. Just saying.
I would have too.
That would have been funny. Just, alright, there's too much tragedy here, I'm out.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I can't think of anything else for spoilers.
Alrighty then, I don't need to reiterate myself, so thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you next week for another fun-filled episode. Stay tuned, kids, because we're going to be doing impressions on spring 2019.
Woo! Get hype!
Oh my god.
Peace!
Oyasumi!
Bye!
Bye-bye.
But now we're good. Now you can start, oh, good old host with the most.
Are you okay?
I'm very tired.
You're always tired.
I know.
That's your secret, Cass. You're always
Cassie-chan is
tired.
always listless.
Ah!
Oh, God. That would be her, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really would be.
And Cammy would be the long-haired girl.
I'm still
Oh,
Miyano?
forgetting her name.
Fucking blessed.
Yes.
Always. You will always be. Every time I see her, I think of you.
God. Shisha!
And Dom is the tall boy.
Am I gonna carry you around?
Yes!
Yeah, you'll carry me
yes!
everywhere.
Yes!
Just with one arm.
Wait, Craig, you need to be Echan. You need to be the Yankee.
I need to be the really angry girl.
Yes, Echan!
But who would I be?
You would be Cassie's favorite character, whose name I can't remember. The girl with the glasses.
Mm.
But yes, the pink-haired girl.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
So should we start this over or no?
No, we're keeping this in. As Paul said, keep it in.
Okay, well then you're gonna have to cut all of it.
I'm going to put it at the post. It'll be great.
Okay, like an after credit scene.
Yes.
We are now the Marvel movies.
We are now the Marvel, the AniChatBox cinematic universe.
Oh no.
So are half of us going to die at some point?
Yes.
No.
Cass is already halfway there.
Oh no. Well, that got bleak.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it
Oh,
takes.
right, you saw that last night, didn't
Cammy,
you?
Shisha, I
Yes.
don't feel so good.
Fuck! I need to...
Oh no.
John would be the Spider-Man of our group.
Really would be.